hur var det där fungerade? Ja, kolla. Jag är fan...
Okej, just det. Jag ska ju gå in och kolla på din stream.
Jag saknar dig sådär, ja. Men spelar den in?
Gå in och kolla på din stream.
Kolla.
Jag har käften.
Hej.
Vem är det här?
Åh nej, okej, vi måste verkligen...
Det är...
Jaha, okej.
Det här är jättefel.
Ulf Brunberg.
Hej. Så, hur är läget? Kan du se skärmdelningen?
Oj. Sen skärmdelning.
Ja, okej. Vem är du?
I'm the male.
Okej. Det var jättehögt. Jag ska bara snabbt ner det här lite grann. Sådär.
Nice.
You walked the wilds of Kahabad through Kare and the spiteful Blacklands, all the way into Mampang. You survived traps, thieves, serpents, and vengeful gods. And now it is here, the crown of kings.
Nice.
Förlåt, min mus stod. Här är production value. Maximal. Ja. Yep. The crown of kings. It is said that the crown was never forged, only found by Shalana the Reformer, a lowly foot soldier who became emperor of the Eastern world. Such is the power of the crown. The air around it crackles with influence.
Wait a minute.
Wait. The crown sits unguarded on a pedestal of light. After so many hardships, can it really be so simple? Or is it yet another deception? Sure enough, as soon as you think it, the image of the crown begins to flicker. You turn about to see something approaching. It's a trap. And startle yourself awake. You are alone, exhausted, in the little hut in the outpost settlement. Your unimaginable journey is not even a single step begun. Nu kommer jag till själva spelprogrammet, så zooma in hela kartan ner till platsen där vi är.
Oh.
Yeah.
Northern Passage.
Det här är då, så vitt som jag vet, är det här helt open world. Man kan göra vad man vill. Ja. Alltså. It is sunrise. You dress, breakfast on bread and goat's milk, and collect a pack and sword from beside your bed.
Test the
blade. You pause to test the blade against your thumb. The blacksmith has done well. The edge is keen and draws a narrow line of blood. Outside the hut, you hear the outpost settlement stirring into life.
I would pray for luck.
Taking a moment more, you close your eyes and raise a prayer to your spirit guide, Panther. This morning it has the form of a panther, but what will it become once your journey truly begins? A great calm descends on you.
It's time to go.
Time then to depart. You lift back the flap of the hut and step into the early morning sunshine. Så nu ska vi dra en path till flaggan.
Oh. Kan vi bara gå iväg?
Nej. Okej, hur ska vi göra det här? Så här. Okay. Eyes follow you as you leave up. Du springer runt några hus. And walk towards the great Shamutanti wall. The frontiers people of this tiny settlement are well aware of your mission.
Greet them. Good day.
You turn to them and bow. Some smile in reply, but are too afraid to approach. Other makes gestures of protections. You are going beyond the wall, so they believe you to be cursed. A man is waiting on the path to the Kantupani Gate, the final doorway between Analand and the wilds of Kahabad. You recognize the sergeant of the Sightmaster warriors. He holds out his hand.
Oh, greetings, Sergeant.
Greetings, Sergeant. He touches his forehead with 2 fingers. You're almost ready, he says. I have for you a gift from the king. 24 gold pieces. It is all we can spare at this time. He holds out a pouch.
Oh, I take it.
You accept the gracious gift. Thank you. You should buy some supplies before you pass the wall, the sergeant says. And you must collect your spellbook if you wish magic to aid you. Finally, should you wish to practice your swordplay, I will go one last round with you. And he points with his staff towards the training ground. Så, vars först? Training ground, spellbook, rations.
Ska vi ta lite training?
Training? You walk with the sergeant to the training grounds. He wraps the base of his staff in leather. To begin, the sergeant says, we will practice the stance. First, defend yourself against me. Choose your attack power by dragging your character sideways to defend. Stay full left. So, wait, vänta va? Man gör så, vänta va? Vänta va? Okay. The Sightmaster is a powerful enemy. By defending, you will receive minimum damage from any attack he makes. The Sightmaster Sergeant defends himself as well. The round is a stalemate. I will now defend myself, he says. Whatever attack you play will damage me, but a strong attack will use up more power. You should choose a weaker attack. Weak attack may reach a small distance to the right. After defending. Okej, det här är alla olika.
Oh.
Alright.
It's a jab, guys.
Jab. You swing with a weak attack, rushing for the Sightmaster Sergeant, who is defending. Good choice. A stronger attack would have wasted more of your power. My next attack will be one of my strongest, he declares. If you can perform a full attack, you may overpower me, but otherwise, you had best defend yourself. Defend eller strong attack? Det är frågan.
Charge him down.
Lunch. The Sightmaster's Sergeant performs a strong attack. He overpowers your own strong attack. This situation causes maximum damage. My next attack will be of medium strength, he declares. You may be able to overpower me if you wish to try.
Yes, let's defend.
Alright. You defend yourself. The Sightmaster Sergeant attempts a medium attack, but you receive only a small amount of damage. My next attack will be weak, he declares. If you are able to overpower me by playing a stronger attack, but be sure your attack is stronger. One of these. You play a strong attack, overpowering the Sightmaster Sergeant, who tries a low, careful attack. My next attack will be low, the Sergeant says. You should defend yourself.
Oh.
Okay.
Let's defend.
Alright. You raise your guard. The Sightmaster Sergeant performs a weak attack. You receive a small amount of damage, but he will be stronger now, so his next attack may be more powerful. My next attack will be a low one, the sergeant says. Okay.
Yeah, we will attack
Can you tell them?
with a swipe.
Swipe. Side swipe.
Side swipe.
Alright. One of these. You make a medium attack, beating the side master sergeant. He bows. You have finished me. Excellent. 6 stamina lost. Rough going. Try again and continue.
Continue.
Alright. You seem to remember the basics, the sergeant says, breathlessly. Good. Another round?
Enough training.
You shake your head. Very good, the sergeant agrees. But if you wish about in earnest, then I warn you, I will not go easy on you. He indicates the wider yard where there is space for a true match.
Oh, we will collect the spellbook.
One of the huts, set slightly back from the others, is decorated with glyphs and strange symbols. A terrible smell emanates from its doorway. This is the hut of the chief mage. He has been preparing your spellbook for days, reading star charts to work out which spells will be available to you in different locations, in the hills and beyond.
Go inside.
You lift the flap and go inside. The mage looks up at you with haggard, sleepless eyes and presses the book in your hands. Do you understand how to use this? He asks.
Tell me.
Each spell is crafted through the alignment of 3 stars, he begins. The spell Sup, for example, is made by aligning Zarathustra, August, and Pini. But that is not important. What matters is what the spell is called and what it does. Sup will give you control over lightning. Hot will create a fireball. Foof will create a force field around you. Shall I continue?
I've heard enough.
He scrambles abysmally at his ears. Remember, some spells will cost you effort to use, but the ones that don't will not work without a focus. An item of some kind. You will need to read the book to know what. Research the magic user spellbook on the map. No.
Buy ration.
Small traders in the settlements supply the Sightmaster warriors with weapons, armor, food, and clothing. You go over with the sergeant to a stall selling flatbreads and cheese. 2 gold pieces per ration, the owner says.
Oh, buy 1 ration.
You hand over your coins and the man places a ration carefully into your pack. You must be sure to eat every day or you will suffer, the sergeant tells you. Standing at your side, eating more will give you extra strength, but it's not necessary. Check the contents of your pack by using the item in bottom at the map. Okay.
Oh, låt oss se vad vi har för spells.
This volume contains the 48 spells of the high crafts, as discovered and passed down from the generation to generation of sorcerers, from the earliest days of the Eastern world. Each spell is formed from 3 letters, and each spell will take energy to cast. Furthermore, some spells will fail without the use of a particular item or focus. If you learn only 6 spells for your adventure, learn these. Sap creates a lightning bolt from the fingertip. Foof creates a protective force field. Law enables non-intelligent creatures to be controlled. Dumb makes creatures extremely clumsy. Hot creates a fireball which can be aimed at enemies. Wall creates an invisible wall. All these spells are extremely tiring and will cost you 3 points of stamina. More economical versions exist, though some rely on the caster owning particular items of power. Information. Sap, 3 stamina. Hot, 3 stamina. Fuff, wall, 3. Här har vi. Big. 1 stamina. When this spell is cast on the caster's own body, it will inflate the body to 3 times normal size. This increases the power of the caster and is especially useful against large opponents, but must be used with caution in confined spaces. Wook. This spell requires a gold coin, which is placed on the caster's wrist. When the spell is cast, it will transform into an invisible metal shield, but the coin will be lost. Dop. This spell may be used to open any locked door. Casting the spell works directly on the lock tumblers, and the door may be opened freely. If the door is bolted from the inside, the bolts will be undone. The spell will not work on doors sealed by magic. Ras requires beeswax. Sus. The spell may be cast when the caster suspects a trap, and it will indicate telepathically to the caster the danger and the best protective actions. If already trapped, this spell may be used to minimize the effect in certain cases. 6. The spell is cast on the caster's own body and creates multiple images of the casters, all capable of casting spells and attacking. Each will perform identical actions, and most creatures will be unable to tell which is the real figure. Jig, bamboo flute. Gob, goblin's tooth. Yob, giant's tooth. Gum, vial of glue. How. This spell is used in perilous situations when information about the safest way of escape is desired. The caster will receive a psychic inclination towards one route or a means of defense if one is present. Doc, medicinal potion. Dos. The spell may be cast upon any creature, reducing its movement and reactions to about a 1/6 of its normal speed. Thus the creature appears to be moving as in a dream sequence, making it much easier to evade or defeat. Dud. By casting this spell, the caster can create an illusion of treasure. Gold pieces, silver coins, gems and jewels can be created at will and used to distract, pay or bribe creatures. Illusionary riches will disappear as soon as the caster is out of sight. Mag. This spell protects its caster from most magic. It must be cast quickly and works by neutralizing the attacking spell. This spell is thus a very powerful protective spell. Pop requires a pebble. Fall. This spell is useful if the caster is caught in a pit, trap or falls from a considerable height. When cast, it makes the caster's body as light as a feather. The caster will float down through the air and land gently on the ground. Dim, a good defensive spell. This can be cast at any attacking creature to muddle its mind. However, it must be handled with caution, as a deranged creature may act unpredictably. Fog. This spell may only be cast in a closed room with no windows. Once cast, the room turns pitch black in the eyes of all but the casters. Even though torches and candles may still be burning, therefore nearby creatures will be temporarily blinded. Mud requires sand. Niff requires nose plugs. Tail requires a skull cap. Dak requires a black face mask. Sap. The effect of this spell, which is only useful in combat, is to demoralize an opponent so that his will to win is lost. Any creature so demoralized will be easier to defeat, though victory is still not certain. Dodule of gold. Kin, gold blacked mirror. Pep, fire water. Firewater. Rock, Stone Dust, Nip, Yellow Powder, Huff, Galehorn. Det är jättemånga spells. Fix, Staff of Oak Saplings, Nap, Brass Pendulum, Sen, Jewel-studded Medallion, Yes, Pearl Ring, Sun, Sun Jewel, Kid, Bracelet of Bone, Rap, Green-haired Wig, Yup, requires a green-haired wing, Sip, Green Ring, Far, Crystal Orb, Res, Holy Water, Sed. This is the most formidable spell in lore, but no one knows why. In all recorded history, this spell has been cast only once by a powerful necromancer from Throben who was never seen again. Its effects are unknown. The necromancer's notes were found, but were crazed and unclear. Treat with extreme caution. Det är alla spells. Okej. Vill du kolla igenom dina items också?
Låt oss göra det.
Vi har rations för en dag. Weapons, sword, treasure, 22. Okej, nu då.
We will go to the wall.
Approach the gate. You reach the foot of the mighty gate. It is sealed. The sergeant places one hand on the wood. The gate has been locked for some time to deter raiders, he tells you. But you will have no difficulty. The stars in this place allows the dop spell to be crafted. And he stands back. Cast the spell. Click the letters to find a spell.
Dope.
Dop. Cast. Dop. You weave the spell. One by one, the great tumblers of the door begin to creak and groan. Then the hinges turn with a noise like hail on a canvas roof. These gates have not been opened since our last champion was lost, the sergeant says. I wish you more luck than he. Perhaps you will even meet him on your travels. Alternative.
If I overtake him, then he is too slow.
The side master nods, peering at something on the horizon. I believe he is returning, but transformed. I hope you do not meet the same fate. He claps you on the shoulder. Together you step inside the shadow of the wall. One last word, he declares. When you have the crown, find the highest point you can find. We will be watching.
I understand.
I will not wish you a safe journey to Kare, for the way ahead will not be safe, the sergeant murmurs, as he peers into the distance through the open gate. The Sightmaster warriors are selected from birth for their incredible powers of telescopic vision. You cannot help but wonder how far he can see.
Tell me what lies ahead.
And this path leads first to Kantupani, a settlement of traders. Though most are rogues and thieves, you should be there before the sun has reached its peak. From there, 3 routes lead on to Kiristanti, but no single route is safe. Kakabad is a land of devils.
And beyond Kari?
I cannot see so far, he says. But once you have crossed the city port of Traps, you will enter the backlands. They say that day and night they are controlled by forces other than the sun. And from Kare too, your progress will be watched. It is time to go. You thank him, you pass through the gate. The faces of folk watching your departure reveal the hopes that rest on you and your quest. The early morning air is crisp and the rising sun paints the slopes and the shades of peaceful beauty, concealing the evil that lies ahead. The path winds through the slopes of wild scrubland. The countryside is deserted, and the eerie silence is broken only by the cawing of occasional crow. There is a spell to be heard. There is a spell for hearing what they say, but you do not have the equipment it requires. The birds appear to pause in the air to exhume you as they pass. They make you uneasy, as if you were an intruder in their presence. Barely an hour beyond the wall, and the air begins to grow foul. The Shamutanti hills are infested with the pestilence of the backlands. It saps the energy from your body, leaving you feeling nauseous and weak.
Cover my mouth.
You cover your mouth with your neck scarf, but it does no good. They warned you of this. You will grow accustomed to it the longer you are here, but for the moment you must be very careful. Your maximum stamina just decreased. You can see your stamina at the top of the screen. If it reaches 0, you're too tired to carry on. Stamina can be regained up to the maximum by eating rations or resting. So.
Oh.
12 and
Står på skylten nu.
Travel cross country, a low rise.
I guess we do a low rise.
A low rise. Another hour passes and you crest a small hillock, from the top of which you can see the path continuing downwards into a small settlement of huts. That must be Kantupani.
Look at the village.
From this distance it's hard to make out much about the town, except that it must be desperately poor. The fields on either side are brown with caked mud, and the few panned animals are thin and wizened like thirsty wines. No wonder the Sightmaster warriors won't trouble themselves to protect this place. There's nothing here to protect. So, Kantupani, avoid the village.
Shit.
Yep. Avoiding the village, like, yep.
Yeah. Boy.
Perhaps it is the way the sergeant described the town, or perhaps it is simply a feeling in your gut. Either way, you leave the path and head off through the scrub, and walk perhaps a mile or so out of your way to avoid the town. From the top of the rise, you get a good view of the land ahead, across the Simsoa River.
Look.
Whoops.
Whoopsie. Yeah, boy.
Yeah, vi skippar. Yeah. Cave. Keep walking.
Let's keep walking.
Coming down a low rise, you hear voices ahead and the crackle of fire.
Wait and listen.
You crouch down in the low grass and listen. There are two voices, gruff and crude. I heard it's today or the next day, says one. They've given him 50 gold pieces, I hear. Easy picking, the other one replies. 2 of us and only 1 of him. Enough to buy a boat.
Keep listening.
You listen a moment longer. And we'll have plenty to eat, the others say. And both men laugh. There is a rustling. The men are getting up to their feet. They are coming this way.
Stay hidden.
You stay low. There is a tense moment as the 2 bandits walk with arms length to you. But they are too busy laughing at their joke, and they do not notice you. crouched low by the rocky outcrop of their camp. Soon they are gone, downhill towards the path from Kantupani. You get back to your feet and brush yourself down.
Investigate.
Taking the opportunity, you go around the rock to their campsite. The fire's been kicked out, but they have left a billy can behind, containing a few warm beans.
Oh, I will eat them.
Yummy. Wolfishly, you bolt the beans. They are thick and foul tasting, but the meal feels good in your belly. Then you hurry on. Make your way back down to the path, a little way beyond where the bandits are standing. About half an hour later, you reach the start of the climb into the hills proper and continue upwards. Yep. Leaving Kantubani behind marks the true start of the wilderness. Beyond that tiny outpost, there are scattered homesteads and kare, a thriving city port that are all touched by cruelty, isolation, and fear. The backlands are the long shadow cast by a Mampang fortress, darken everything.
Nice. And with the crown gone.
And with the crown stolen, things can only grow worse. In the long years since Shalana, the reformer, founded the alliance, the crown has been passed from kingdom to kingdom every 4 years, ensuring each one has its turn to lead. But no more. Ruddlestone, Landeland, Galarantia, and the Bryce have all rejoyed its power.
But not Aletta.
But when the crown came to Analand, it was stolen by birdmen from Samen and carried off to Mampang. With the crown, the Archmage will be unstoppably powerful. There is no chance of sending an army against him. A military force would not survive the journey. So here you are, a lone hero, walking the long path to Mampang alone. 5 minutes later, you reach a fork in the road. The sergeant, for all his eyesight, hadn't mentioned this. Fork in the road. The road splits at the base of a gigantic tree, but does not rejoin on the other side. The left path winds down an alley, and the right rises up a slope towards the thick forest of the hills.
Look right.
It's hard to see much further uphill. The forest is sudden and thick, and the path narrows. It may be hard going in that direction, but the hills will involve a lot of climbing eventually, and you may get a decent view of the next leg from the top of the ridge.
Look left.
You pause to consider the lower route. There is a river there, and the path follows the left bank. It is a safer route, secluded and protected, but the curve of the landscape would mean you were almost backtracking. You are about to make your choice when you hear a faint cry from somewhere close at hand.
A trap. Time to move.
A call for help. Out here in Samahati Hills, it is almost certainly a trap to lure travelers to their dooms. You must move on. The light is fading already. Low or high?
Oh. Let's go high.
The high road seems the most secure. In a valley you can be easily observed from above and led astray, but out in the hills you can go whichever way you choose. Of course, when night falls it may be cold and exposed up on the slopes, but no matter. This journey was never destined to be easy. You begin the climb, letting the cries from the tree fade quickly away. The path winds upwards, into the hills and into the cover of a wood. The afternoon sun glints through the trees and plays a trick on your eyes. Every so often you catch a glimpse of some strange-shaped animals, or rather, watching you. Only to find that it is a silhouette of branches and leaves caught at an odd angle. You keep up your pace. The climb continues with the path twisting this way and that. The air grows cold and the sun flickers on the horizon, then sets, making it hard to see your way. But the moon is full and the twilight is done. It will be bright once more. Bright enough for you to see and bright enough for you to be seen. Make camp or keep walking.
Keep walking, walking and walking.
The journey ahead of you is long and time is short, so to waste hours at this early stage could be disastrous, and sleeping out in the open, you would be at the mercy of beasts. Reasoning that to sleep on hard earth would be almost as tiring as to walk, you walk. You will suffer for it physically, of course. The stars come out one by one above you, writing out the names of the spirits, including your own, the crow. You continue on your very way. As you walk, you think of the crown. It calls you onwards already, even though you've never seen it. It is as if it knows your name and is waiting for you, deep in the fortress of Mampang. But does it summon you to rescue it and restore the balance of power? Or does it summon you to your death and destruction, to place a seal on the power of the Archmage? The second day of your journey begins in the morning cool. You feel the presence of your spirit, the crow, close nearby. Its form has changed since you left Annaland, just as you have changed. But it is still flying beside you. In the temple they taught you that a prayer to your spirit could heal diseases, lift curses, even save you from certain death. But the spirits are not generous and decline to help often. You can ask the spirit's aid by pressing the A button. You can feel yourself getting accustomed to the fetid air of these hills. You have now ascended several hundred feet and can expect to make excellent progress before the end of the day, assuming you don't fall into any cracks in the ground. As you crest the brow of a hill, you see something that turns your blood cold. To your left is a clearing, and in the clearing are several poles, planted firmly in the ground, and atop each pole is a head.
Keep moving.
This is clearly no place to linger. You must press on. A large X painted on a rock nearby is obviously intended as a warning, not to venture any further. But ahead the road forks left and right, and you cannot be sure which path you are warned not to take. The right-hand path continues to climb. The left-hand path winds down the side of the hill.
Can I use a spell? Or do I use how?
How? I don't think you can do that, buddy. Can do that? I don't think you can do that, man.
Can't I?
You should probably be able to do that. Can you not do that? What does this down do? Oh, restore so far. Alright. No.
No, it's rewind.
No. Yes, rewind. No. I don't think you can do that. No. Feels like a rip. Förmodligen så är det spel sådana i sequences där de har färgplanerade. Ja. Take the left path or climb.
We will take the left path.
Alright, take the left path.
Fuck road.
You make your way down a steep wooded slope. After half an hour you hear the grudging of a stream, and then quite suddenly you emerge from the trees to the edge of a fast-flowing river. Fording would be impossible, but luckily someone has built a bridge.
Nice. Let's test it.
Fuck. Yeah, and then when there was holding the lash. Oh, okay. You slide straight across, but at the halfway mark, the boards start to creak and come loose, and then one of the ropes holding the bridge up unlashes itself completely, and you are plunging into the water. Yep.
Race for the other bank.
You make a break for the far bank, pounding across the boards as they tumble and plunge into the rapid water. At the last minute, the bridge dissolves, and you must jump. Left or right?
Right. Let's take a lefty.
You leap left and manage to clear the bridge before it tumbles into the river. The boards and ropes washed away by the torrent. You are a little scratched and bruised, but nothing serious. Still, there is no turning back. You get to your feet. Something moves in the bushes nearby.
Investigate.
Who's there? You demand, as you approach the bush, peering either side to spot if the figure tries to run. But when you get there, you find nothing.
Let's beat the bush.
You beat the bush with your sword and find nothing except for one thing, a hollow tube of bamboo which touches the colored ink at one end that looks remarkably like a blowpipe. It is cracked and must have been discarded as worthless by its owner, but this might mean that whoever put the heads on those poles is nearby. You toss the pipe away, but you had best to be on your guard. Oh, what the fuck? Follow the path through the trees.
Through the trees we go.
Yeet.
Yeah.
You turn off the path and into the trees. If headhunters are about with blowpipes, you want to stay well clear. You walk for a few hours through the light forest, dappled with sun, until you are climbing the side of a steep ridge. Yeah, okay, yep. Keep climbing. You ain't got no choice, boy.
Yep. Boy.
The path climbs again up a low hill, covered over with thick bushes and shrubs that snag at your clothing. Halfway up you hear a sound, a twig breaking.
Keep walking.
You keep striding forward, then when suddenly a large creature, the size of a bear, emerges directly in front of you. It has a black and white fur and a long bushy tail that trails out behind. It growls menacingly.
Try to edge around it.
Perhaps if you're careful and slip around it. Left or right?
Shall we go right this time?
Right, you fucking baboon. You try to slip towards the bushes, but clearly something about you, or what you carry, attracts the beast's attention as it sniffs the air and moves towards you, its sharp teeth on display. You will not be able to avoid confrontation. The creature is a skunk bear, and when it raises its tail, it releases a nauseating odor. The smell that hangs around it is terrible. Fight or cast a spell.
Let's cast dim on him.
Casting dim. Alright, we'll search for dim. I don't see any D's here, buddy.
God damn.
Seems like the skies can make you dim.
Can we fucking zap him with a S?
The S app, A, and a P causes the fresh.
Let's
Alright. You launch the spell, and the snarl on the face of the creature turns into a gloom glower. It's still coming at you, but only half-heartedly, swiping its idle claws. You draw your sword. How will you do this?
I will cut it.
A cut. Yes. Let's see what is the best cut. This is the best cut. A cut. Ah, yes. The miserable creature has two main weapons, its long claw and its terrible smell. Killing it quickly will be your best chance of avoid losing your last meal. You swing your sword in a mighty arc, but the skunk bear doesn't want to attack. It rears up and waits, trying to stay out of reach. It grunts as it paces from you. It beats the air with its furry tail. Well, what now?
We shall jab it.
A jab. Ah.
Oh.
The skunk bear charges and jumps, and you are spared by your reflexes. You defend yourself as best as you can. It moans and winces, standing up on its hind legs.
Full charge.
We can do a thrust, not quite a charge.
Yeah.
A thrust, full power thrust. Ah, excellent. You risk an attack, rushing forward. You charge at the skunk bear. Then your sword finds a soft place in the skunk bear's body. The beast roars and tumbles to the ground, quite dead. One stamina lost. Sword play. Continue. With the creature defeated, you wipe your sword clean and leave this place behind. The path leads down through another valley and back up another hill. 2 hours pass. Okay, that's fine. Yeet.
Just get them.
Yeah. Alright. The sun is now just past its zenith, and everywhere a dusty heat rises from the baked earth. You begin to think about where to stay for the night. Another night of walking will leave you exhausted. But then you see a small village set into the hill.
Look at it.
Look at it. Smoke rises from the stacks. The houses are well set, with stone at their base and thatched roofs of grasses and thick leaves. There is unusually more than just the one street running through the center of town. But it is as though this place, one switch, has had its heart scooped away. Litter surrounds the buildings, and on the edge of the village are rows and rows of empty, abandoned houses. You continue your slow trudge along the path. Enter or avoid?
Let's enter.
You walk into the village. Young hill dwellers pass you and stare at your strange clothes. You nod back respectfully.
Look at the people.
Their own attire is rough by comparison to your gear, and they wear their hair long but piled up on their heads. These people are ghastly poor. The village is like a ghost town, here on the knife edge of the backlands. Talk in an alehouse, rest at an inn.
Talk in the alehouse.
Walking down...
Nice.
Walking down the single road, you quickly find a hut with its front covering pulled wide open, and the smell of brewed beer coming from inside. You go in. Several hill dwellers are here, talking gruffly. When you enter, they watch you with understandable caution. The owner of the hut comes over to you. Welcome to Kristantani, he declares. What do you want?
Great owner.
An evening's rest and a drink to wet my throat, you reply. Ale is 1 gold, he answers. Please sit. You go over to the table where the hill dwellers are.
Sit with the oldest man.
You turn your attention to the oldest man at the table. Whatever face he once had is lost in a labyrinth of wrinkles, and his skin is the color of tanned hide from a lifetime in the beating sun.
Greetings, old man.
Greetings, old man. He raises his mug in salute. Stranger! His face is gravely like the dusty dirt that lines the street of this town. Where are you from?
I come from Nuvarande.
He nods. Not many has crossed through the can't upon a gate in either direction, if you know what I'm saying.
I understand you.
He grins and picks his teeth with a fingernail. They say there is a war coming. Something to do with a crown.
Not if I can help it.
Is that so? Replies the canny old man. Well, seems like you should be drinking on the house tonight for the good of us all, Shanty. He calls the innkeeper over. I'll cover this man's sale.
It's appreciated.
You reply, raising your cup to him. You sip your beer. The old man exchanges glances with a younger man sitting opposite.
Oh.
Mm.
Oh.
Mm.
What shall we do? Shall we leave the inn?
You will leave the inn. You finish your beer in a single draught and get to your feet. You make to leave the inn with a wave back to the old man who bought you a drink. You step outside. You look this way and that, trying to decide what to do next, when you realize the old man has joined you once more. He grabs your shoulder and presses a fruit in your hand. Bomba, he declares through fermented breath. I grow them myself. Good for the stomach. He pats your belly and walks away, swaying slightly.
Look at the fruit.
You turn the old man's gift over in your hand. It's a thick rinded fruit that keeps well and will be highly nourishing when you decide to eat it. Its only drawback is its incredible weight. It's now evening and time to sleep. Sleep outside or find an inn.
Find an inn.
You stop a passerby and ask for an inn, and they lead you there directly. The woman who runs the place stands in the doorway with her arms folded. Are you from the king? She demands.
No, I'm a mere traveler.
The woman narrows her eyes at you. It's a guest house, the best of Kirstanti. Only guests stay, and any guest of mine knows it's cost me 3 gold pieces to host a man overnight, and 2 to feed him. But it's all between friends.
Oh. Oh. I guess I will go somewhere else.
You will go elsewhere?
Yeah.
Yeah. She shrugs, not appearing too upset by your decision. You creep off to the edge of the village.
I guess we go to the next
I
place.
guess we go to outside Kristanti. The cover of the forest is dark and the ground is thick with fallen branches, mud and briar. You walk for near an hour more. Then you pass a large tree atop a great fist of curling roots. It's a perfect spot to sleep.
I will eat something.
Gracefully you open your pack and pull out a quantity of your cheese and bread. You feel much better and more ready for the long watches of the night. You settle down to sleep. It will not be an uninterrupted night out here under the stars, surrounded by beasts, but you will still feel a little better for it. Your dreams are vivid once again. You are walking endlessly, the hills moving up and down under your feet like a rippling sea. Every step exhausts you, but no step moves you forward. Meanwhile, a tall black creature strides towards you, wreathed in a foul-smelling smoke, and in the distance a deep voice is booming with laughter. The long, cruel finger of one hand are curled around the metal frame of a crown, and with the other he beckons you forward, as if into a trap. Beyond Kirstanti. You wake early and sit for a moment, in no great hurry to leave this place where you have lingered so long. This is now the third day of your journey, and the muscles in your legs are feeling lean and strong from so much walking. You spend a short while enjoying the peace, then unhurried collect your possession and set off along the path. Kirstanti is surrounded by several miles of fields. It sits in a well-protected ring of hills and is close enough to the river to be reasonably prosperous as you follow the path between lines of sun-baked crops. You come to a fork in the road. The right-hand way leads past a set of outbuildings, while the left leads directly off into a deep woodland. Between the buildings or enter the woods.
I will go between the buildings.
As you glimpse a few people at work by the buildings, there will be precious little company on your journey, so you should take it while you can. Approaching a low wall, you see a blind beggar sheltering in the shade with its hand held outstretched. He hears you approach and clicks his fingers. "Alms, would you? For love of Sindla, alms."
Walk on by.
You give no reply and walk on by. "Strange," calls the blind man after you. "How I can't see you, and you can't see me." A little further up the road, an ox cart trundles towards you. The driver lifts a hand. "You want a lift, do you?" he calls. "I see you're walking and I'm headed this way."
Look at the driver.
The driver of the cart seems honest enough, a dark-skinned farmer, probably though enough to pull the cart himself if he had to. "Are you getting in? I don't have all day," he cries.
Get in.
You board the cart and the driver whips his oxen into a trot. "So, where are you headed?" he asks, as he negotiates the corner and the pit holes in the rugged path. Trader, I'm guessing. He looks off you. "Off to Kari to sell them weapons. I hear they're buying them."
I'm not ready.
"No," the driver regards you with interest. "A bit too well-tooled for a trader, perhaps. There's bandits out here, but not so many as to need a one-man army to get about, rather than a carriage. So, what's your journey about? You getting out of Användbart before it's too late?"
I'm not running away from anything.
Everyone's running away from something, if you ask me, the driver replies, philosophically. That or they're running towards something worse.
Not me.
He nods. "I get you. Things in Anland have got so bad people are running into the hills. Who would believe it? But I'm right, aren't I? The king has lost his grip on power. That's what I heard."
The king is a brave man.
Lost the crown, didn't he? The cart jumps a dip in the road. "That's what they say. He lost the crown, and there's going to be a war." The driver looks sour. "Though war is justice, we might be able to fight back. And it's not going to be like that, is it? Not with the crown.
You should be ready for the worst.
The driver looks at you with new respect in his eyes. He glances at your sword, your backpack. "You're traveling alone?" he asks, then nods. "I see. May Simla watch your footsteps then, friend." And he nods and turns his face to the road and drives on. After half an hour or so, he reaches a wide field thick with vegetables. "This is my stop," he remarks.
Thank you for the lift.
No trouble, no trouble, the driver replies. He jumps down.
Yeah. Let's just get down myself.
You hop off the cart, you feel a little better for the restful journey. The driver smiles and heads off towards his field. You watch him for a moment. It's an enormous crop and he has a lot of work ahead of him.
Oh. Offer to help him.
"Wait," you call. "I'll help you." The driver stops, looks at you for a long moment, then grins. "Well, if you must." You help him out for an hour or so, time he can afford since you have made such good progress on the cart. Once you've finished, he offers you a portion of the vegetables to take with you as payment. You thank him and then take your leave. You also munch through a meal's worth as you work. At the Giants... Ska vi kolla vad det är för items? Jag tror att jag börjar få ganska lite rations. Never mind. You continue along the path, climbing. Your legs feel strong and lean. By the end of this journey, you will be built like a mountain goat. The afternoon progresses, long and easy. This place you're walking through seems thick with desolation, as if it has been long abandoned. And then, as if to confirm your thought, you come across two enormous stone pillars, listing slightly either side of the road. They form a gate, but the gate is 3 times the height of a man.
Look through them.
Alright. Peering closely, you make out the faded remains of carved characters in the old script. L and K, the remnant of a spell, of fortune perhaps, or of binding for those now fallen stones. There is nothing for it but to go forward. Through the gate. You step into the shadow of the enormous gate. The ruins of walls line the path either side, but these are walls built from blocks the size of ox carts. Centuries ago, this must have been a palace of a king, 12 feet tall. Now it has been leveled, and the stones stolen from the field walls and foundation of the villagers all around. Continue climbing or investigate the ruins.
Let's investigate.
You take a moment to clamber out of the ruins and off the path until you're surrounded by waist-high grasses. The ground rises and falls sharply around the outlines of houses and buildings. You trace the line of street wide enough to run 3 carts abreast that leads quickly downhill towards a forest. Once this place was rich and plentiful, what happened here to remove every last trace of these colossal people?
Look inside.
You stop by the edge of the house. The side wall only stands as high as your knees. Grass nods above it. Looking inside, you can make out the edges of the fireplace, the back wall and an adjoining area. Perhaps a grainstone or a bedroom.
Search in the grass.
You take a few moments to search through the long grasses and find nothing until your hand closes on a clay pot near one wall. It is shaped It is shape of wine jug, but about 3 times the usual size. Around the neck is a red stain. Wine, or maybe blood, it is impossible to tell. The base of the pot has been smashed away, perhaps by age, perhaps by some unhappy with the contents. You leave the pot behind.
Follow the street.
You follow the line of the street down the slope of the hill. The further you go from the path, the more overgrown the ruins become, until you can barely make out their outlines at all. After a while, you are not following the streets at all, but simply holding to the same line. You approach the edge of a thick woodland. Turn back and climb. Enter the tree-lined.
Let's turn back and climb.
The path crosses over a low broken wall and then rises sharply uphill through a pass. After a while you see 2 cave mouths, one to the left of the path and another to the right. Carry on, right hand or left hand?
Let's go right.
You pause at the mouth of the first cave and look inside. There's a faint whistling sound. The wind, perhaps?
Goblins. Investigate the other cave.
Sounds risky. You creep out, intending to try the other cave. To the other cave. The left-hand cave is a little wider at its mouth, but it's also not deep and appears to be empty. Rubble covers the floor along with a few items that suggest someone lived here. A huge broken stool, a net with a wide mesh, and a large human-shaped skull the size of a dog. And this place was clearly home to a giant.
Leave quickly.
You make a hurried exit to the path and get moving. You hurry out the shadow of the path. You crest the rise and continue down the slope on the other side. You pass out through another gigantic gate and into a barren mountainside. Approaching Dumpus. The path trips and slides down a steep scree slope and then emerges onto a sudden plain, as if the forest had been scooped away by a gigantic hand. A river trickles thinly between short grasses, and its banks and by its bank stands a tiny village. Enter or avoid?
Let's enter.
Today has been mercifully short and uneventful. You have made excellent progress. With a decent meal and a night's sleep, your next day will start auspiciously. So you begin the gentle climb down into the village. You follow the path down into the village, passing a sign which declares it to be Dumpus. The streets are thin and narrow, and the buildings have been set close together, as if trying to withstand a storm. There's a terrible smell hanging in the air. All in all, it seems an unpleasant place. Explore the town, talk to the villager. Alright. Halfway along the track, you come across a couple of merchants' hats. You browse for items worth buying with your 22 gold pieces. Your attention is taken by a finely woven skull cap, a finely crafted sword, and a small bag of provisions.
Buy provisions.
You examine the bag of food. There is about enough to last 3 days. 6 gold pieces, the merchant says with a smile. Good for a traveler, I'm sure.
Pay for them.
You pay him 6 gold pieces and add the provisions to your back.
That's enough.
That's enough. You nod to the merchant, and the merchant smiles. Is there anything else I can help you with?
Nothing.
Nothing. The merchant nods and bids you farewell. Head out of town, find an inn, or talk to the villagers.
Let's head out of town.
Fuck this place. With the sun setting at the horizon, you head out of Dumpus. Close by the village, you find a small patch of trees to offer some shelter. The ancient giant gate is just within view, looming over everything in sight. And from here you can see another village atop a mountain to the west, but not for today.
Make a camp.
Alright. You walk on until you pass a suitable spot in the woods to make your camp. A crack between two large upright stones with a dirt clearing behind it. You throw your possessions through and then squeeze in after them. There is enough space to stretch out fully. You should have a peaceful night here.
Need something before sleep.
You sit up for a short while, resting your feet and eat some of your provisions. Then the clouds cover the moon and it grows dark. You settle down with your head on your pack to rest. You manage an hour's sleep and then wake. Something is pacing outside your hiding place.
Let's stay hidden.
You stay low and hidden, listening to the padding paws. There is this occasional sound of claws scraping stone. Then an eye appears in the gap between the tree roots. The eye of a werewolf. It has found you. Fight, cast a spell, or wait.
Oh, I will wait to see what it does.
You wait to see if the monster will attack, but it doesn't. It knows it has you cornered. It seems quite happy to wait. You will have to come out of your hole eventually.
Let's keep waiting.
You decide to wait it out. It's a werewolf after all. Well, the full moon won't last forever, and for now it seems like you are safe in your narrow enclosure, where the creature cannot get to you. The stalemate lasts for an hour or so, then the creature gives up and pads away into the forest. Gratefully, you settle down to sleep once more. You dream strange dreams as you sleep. It seems as though you wander through the doors and hallways built 10-20 times your height. You're an insect in the hills over which you are walking. Are the follices of hair and on the shaved chin of a giant. Storms of hot, fetid breath seems to sweep across you, threatening to blow you down into hell. Overhead, you fancy you hear the flap of giant wings. The birdmen came for the crown, perhaps. Before this journey is finished, they will come for you. Jag tänkte att det där vi avslutar för ikväll. Ja.
Jo, det tänkte jag också.